Yes, Jennifer, you are on the correct link. I've shared a Google Drive with you. I'm going to reshare it for a moment so that you have it. I'll share it a couple times as well. This is the participants link, so you'll be able to see that there is a zip file that will have all of the material that we have for the next 12 weeks in terms of your student packet, your student manual. In addition, there is a link, there's a Google Sheet that is going to be the 3612-3 tracker. This is going to be where you're going to see the teams that we have that are going to be participating. If you do not see your name on there, then go ahead and put in at the bottom, just put your name for me and I will be able to add you to a team. The teams are not necessarily important at the moment. What's most important is going to be your lead generation. And so if you've made that commitment this last week about doing lead generation 3612-3, I'm curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm knocking it out of the park, 1 being help, I have no idea what I'm doing, tell me, where are you in your daily commitment this past week of doing 3 hours of lead generation every single day? So you lead generated for 3 hours last Thursday, last Friday, and you did it Monday and yesterday. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you knocked it out of the park, then go ahead and put that for me in the chat box. Yes, Jennifer, I know your name is not on a team. So if your name is not on a team, I need you to put your name on the Google Sheet. I don't need it in the chat box. That way we can do that. Okay? All right, so I'm getting 6s, 8s, 5s, okay? So I'm assuming that when I'm seeing a 5 out of 10, then that means that you're telling me that you're either doing 1.5 hours a day, or some days you did 3 hours and some days you did nothing. Which one is it? Clarify for me. Was it daily or was it I missed some days? Okay, so Tracy said daily. So she's doing it daily. It just means that I wasn't doing the full 3. Same thing with Jennifer, okay? So kind of across the board, it's about 1.5 hours. Right, okay. So now tell me, what is either keeping you limited to 1.5 hours, right? So what are some obstacles that are getting in your way of doing a full 3 hours every single day? Okay, so for Jennifer, it's working from home more than at the office. John said he's doing lots of classes. Gina said interruptions from home. Okay. What else? What I love is I had 18 or 19 commitments on last Wednesday, and yet only 13 of you are here. So glad that you're here. We have that. Jennifer, tell me more. Jennifer says fear of COVID, and I don't know what that means for you. Yvette Burketto said showings for clients. Linda said more interruptions, so interruptions from home as well. Genoa said taking too much time to get organized for a listing appointment due to limited experience. Okay. And Tracy said distractions of working at home. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about setting a standard in terms of your commitment, what that looks like for you. Uh-oh, I lost someone. We went from 13 down to 12. And so we're going to talk about building a bunker, right? So we talked about that, and Bart said that, you know, he said, family and bunker not fortified. Yeah. Does your family know that you made a commitment to 3 hours a day? Does your family know that you made a commitment to closing 36 transactions? Does your family know the difference of income between what you're currently bringing in and 36 transactions? And then does your family have commitment and buy-in to your commitment? That is a live question, all of that. So if family becomes the distraction, right? And when I hear you say there's distractions at home, I know that laundry takes 5 minutes every once in a while. Sweeping takes a couple minutes. Taking the dogs out takes a couple of minutes. I know those distractions. But if you're talking about family, right? Spouse, partner, significant other, family, things of people that want your attention and they want it now, then they need to understand that you are committed and they need to be committed as well, which then leads me to, what is your definition of commitment? Go ahead and put that in the chat box for me. So Bart said, with commitment in reference to what we're talking about, focusing on high priority is 20%. John said, prioritize it, schedule it, and get it done. Jennifer said, my definition of commitment is that I do everything I say I'm going to do, 100% dedication. Yvette said, sticking to a schedule to commit to that time slot and only adjust if you need to. Gina said, doing what you say you are going to do and sticking with it. Tracy said, commitment is doing what you say you're going to do. Genoa said, commitment is the potential for growth. Okay. So my question for you is that all of you committed to 3 hours a day of lead generation. And not one of you said that I did it at a level 10. This is no judgment. This is no shame, shame, shame. That's not what I'm talking about. My definition of commitment is to do whatever it takes. And I think that for many of you, that's woven in, do what you say you're going to do, schedule for it, prioritize for it, time block for it, get it done. All of those things that are there. So if I'm committed to 3 hours a day, which ultimately means I'm committed to my business, which means that I'm committed to my career, which means I'm committed to my family, which means I'm committed to my future, I understand that I'm saying I will do whatever it takes in those aspects. Then we also need to understand that we're going to have to clear opportunity, right? When we're saying yes to lead generation for 36-12-3, when we're saying yes to lead generation for 3 hours a day, we're saying no to a whole bunch of stuff. We're saying no to Facebook. We're saying no to TV. We're saying no to our families during those 3 hours. So I want to be very clear. I'm into, quite a bit of our time that we have together, but this is so important that we have this conversation, and we will continue to have this conversation throughout, is that commitment in all things, doing whatever it takes in this particular thing that you've committed to, is not just to show up with me from 2 to 4 on a Wednesday to learn something, maybe learn something, right? It's really about building the systems and having the motivation, building the skill set, and taking the action that you wanted to do so that you can increase production, right? So understanding that we are forming a habit, and for many of you, you went from probably 30 minutes a day to an hour and a half a day, which means that you tripled your effort, and I want to applaud you on it. And you didn't commit to an hour and a half, you committed to 3 hours. right? And so I just want to be intentional about that. But let's go ahead and get into our content for the day. Also, I want to make sure that I am showing up at a high level for all of you, and that I'm here to make sure that it works for all of you. So Megan, Oswald, if you can do me a favor, I would love to know specifically why you're here, and I want to make sure that throughout this process, I'm touching on things that can help you, whether it's in your role, whether it's for your team. I'm just curious as to what I can do to make sure that this experience is not boring or sitting in the background for you. And I haven't had an opportunity to tell you yet, so congratulations. But we're gonna keep moving on. But I just want to make sure that I'm tailoring it for everybody. All right. So this is Power Session 1. This is the first actual material, right? Last week was all about orientation, but today is about building validity and positioning ourselves in the most accurate and straightforward way that we possibly can. We're going to talk about personal validity, powerful positioning within your competition, sprinting past that competition, and then putting it all together. So as always, when we talk about ground rules, is arrive on time, right? We start at 2 o'clock, we're going to get people together, but we really start the actual material at 2:05. We have our groups, we have our teams. There are some activities that are in the material that we're not going to get to. So what's going to be important on that Google Sheet is that you also put your phone number next to your name so that everybody in your team can do that. Also, I'm going to ask that each team get with one another. Maybe instead of your phone number, you might want to put your email. If you do your phone number, then that's kind of assuming that you're going to do a group text. I personally hate group texts, but you do whatever works for you. And then each team, I would like to be able to nominate a captain by next Wednesday. That way we have someone that's kind of just taking accountability. It doesn't mean that you're doing a whole lot more than anybody else. You're just making sure that we clear through the activities and that people have the support that they need. Be fully present. I'm here with you for the next 2 hours, and I want you to be here with me. Respect that reality of the time and participation and showing up at a high level. We're going to respect everyone's different learning styles. There aren't any dumb questions, just dumb people. I'm just kidding. There aren't any dumb questions. Please show up however you need to show up. Help each other, right? Because together everyone achieves more. We're going to respect the confidentiality in these conversations. So again, there's a reason why this isn't streaming on Facebook. Is throughout this process, we're going to be talking about some of your active buyers, your active sellers. And so we want to be respectful of that confidentiality. And we're going to have fun throughout this process because, yes, we're here to learn, but we're here really to make sure that your business is moving in the right direction, right? So you're a real estate professional, right? We know why you're here. We know why you're taking this course. We know why you're committed. We know what 36 transactions can mean for you and your family, and that's why we're all here. So understanding and developing and building our unique value proposition actually follows a 5-step model. So step 1 is that we have to understand how you describe yourself. Then step 2 is how others describe you. Step 3 is then to understand our customer service and what that looks like. We then need to position ourselves by making sure that we have a powerful value proposition. And then we take all of that information and then we create our unique selling proposition to our buyers, to our sellers, and to the community. So this is the first step to building our foundation. So it's the validity and positioning. Next week is prospecting, followed by marketing, and then leveraging a database. But the validity and positioning is everything that's necessary, right, that we can actually use to make sure that our lead gen is effective. And so understanding your personal validity. So what makes you valid? The knowledge, attitude, skills, and beliefs that you already have. For many of you, this might feel like, well, what happens if I'm fairly new to real estate, or I haven't sold that much, or this, that, and the other? That has nothing to do with what makes you valid. You are already valid based on your knowledge, your attitudes, your skills, and your beliefs. We are constantly working on building your knowledge in real estate, but you have control of your attitude. You have control of the skills that you want to pull in from what you've done in your past and what your beliefs are, your ethics, your morals, the things that are Y4C2Ts as a company, right? These are all of the things that make you valid. So it usually comes from 2 steps, of which the first step is the words and phrases that you would use to describe yourself. And step 2 is the words and phrases that others use to describe you. And so step 1 in terms of how to describe yourself is no matter what your story is, you are uniquely qualified. So we then need to examine our experience and then make it real estate relevant. And so again, if you have been in hospitality, let's say that you were a server, you know how to deal with customers on a business to customer perspective, you know how to do upselling, you know how to describe things, you know how to work in an environment where you have to be on your feet and everything is different. You know how to communicate and work with other people, whether they're qualified or not, right? We're able to work through a lot of these situations. And so I can bring that to what I do in real estate, which is I will always make sure that I'm respectful and courteous to the other side with the buyer's agent. I am going to make sure that any clients that come through or customers, potential customers that come through are having an experience that they want to leave here feeling informed and that they know everything that they could possibly know about your property, right? I'm going to ask for the close. So I'm going to ask if someone wants to put an offer on your home. I'm going to be actively pursuing people to purchase your home throughout this process, right? You can take whatever it is that you've done in a previous career and you're able to apply it specifically to real estate and how we show up for people. Because remember, we're in the people business until someone has a real estate need, and then we're in the real estate business. But for years, you're going to be in the people business for someone before they even show up. I was sharing this in a class. I don't know if I was sharing it in 3612.3. We recently have for the team a listing that's going to close next Friday. And that is coming from someone that I have known since I was 12 years old. And she has been a part of my life. I have been there for when she was a mom who got pregnant in high school, who dropped out of high school. She got her GED. She raised her children. She supported her husband. She built a business. She did all of these things. And then she got her college degree. She went back to school at age 45, and she graduated college just before she turned 50. And I was there with her through a lot of these things. She had never purchased a home from us. She had never sold a home from us. They have 2 properties, and they're selling one of them, and they're selling it with us. So for years, going to the Cinco de Mayo parties, going to the Christmas parties, being there to celebrate when her kids graduated college, being there to celebrate when she graduated college, right? You're understanding that you're in the people business. So showing up at a high level when it didn't matter from a financial perspective made it a natural progression. There was validity in my relationship. She knew that I was a real estate expert, but she knew that I genuinely cared about her and her well-being. And that was one of the most important things for her, to know that someone was going to work hard and that they were going to be honest and fair throughout the transaction, right? So part 1 of this is to examine your resume. Consider what you already know, and then think about your specific attitudes and beliefs. What's your attitude towards your work ethic? What's your attitude towards working with others? How do you handle conflict resolution? What are your beliefs, right? What are non-negotiables for you as an individual, as a person of faith, as a person who is running a business? What are your beliefs? And then make it real estate relevant. So how is it beneficial to your customers? And you have already used your experience to help your customers, right? So consider what buyers and sellers say that they want when we're talking about personal validity. Buyers are saying that 23, this is based on the National Association of Realtors, that out of the biggest respondents, that number 1 is that they want an agent who is honest and trustworthy. And then that's followed by the agent's reputation, which again, that could be either the agent's reputation, that could be the brokerage's reputation, right? So knowing about Keller Williams, knowing that we're number 1 in all of South Pinellas, that reputation is something that can work towards your favor, and yet you can show up honestly and make sure that you are presenting as trustworthy. I'm curious, and then we'll talk about, sellers real quick, and then we're going to come back to this. So sellers, 36% said that the reputation of the real estate agent was the most important thing for them. Again, that could be about the brokerage. And then they also want to know that the agent is honest and trustworthy, right? Let's see here real quick. Yes, ma'am, I'm going to allow you to talk, Megan, because I see your hand raised. So go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question. If not, you're just saying hi, then hi. Maybe Megan did not mean to raise her hand. So let's talk for a moment. Oh yeah, no, sorry. Okay. So let's talk about some of the things that are here. You're able to edit. You should all be able to edit now. So please make sure, can someone let me know if you're able to edit the Google Drive? You might need to refresh. That's because I did have to change that. How could someone who has not worked with you before, how can they know that you are honest and trustworthy from the very beginning? Put that in the chat box for me. Okay, so Megan said client testimonials, right? People really don't want to hear from you that you're an honest person. Listen, I'm an honest person. The second someone tells me that, they're probably not an honest person, right? Or that's what we're programmed to believe. So having other people talk about you and what that looks like is absolutely there. Let me see, I'm going to go back for a moment. There is the link for that. So, okay, so people are talking about references, right, by client testimonials. And one of the other things is, how many of you use the Y4C2Ts in your listing presentation or your buyer consultation? Okay, so Yvette said that she has it in her buyer consultation and she's working on her seller guide, okay? Does anybody besides Yvette use it? And it's one thing to put it in your packet, it's another thing to have it as a part of your presentation. Does anyone not know what the Y4C2Ts are? No judgment, just asking a question. Okay, so here is just an example of what that is, right? I'm gonna have a conversation. I'm just gonna script through this the way that I would talk about it, and then you'll see whether or not it's something that you want to use. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I just want to take a few moments and actually go through our belief system as a company. This is something that's very important, and it was one of the main reasons why I chose to align my business with Keller Williams, is because these following words are more than just words that are on the wall. This is truly the way that we want to run our business. And I hope that it's meaningful for you as you're thinking about who you want to partner with in selling your home. So I'm just going to go through them real quick. So right from the beginning is win-win or no deal. I want you to know that there should never be a decision that I'm making in which it is not to benefit both you and me. Or oftentimes, if we're in a situation where we want to sell your home and there's a buyer and a buyer's agent on the other side, I like to believe in a win-win situation. It's got to win for everybody. Everyone has to feel like they're moving away from this in a positive direction. You know, the TV shows like to make it look like this is really big and competitive and we're turned against one another. But ultimately, a buyer wants to feel good about buying your home. And I'm sure that you want to feel good selling your home, that the next person that's going to take it is going to take care of it and they're going to do something with it, and that all of the work that you've put in is going to be respected, as well as it's an opportunity for you to take advantage of the market and take your equity and be building your wealth with it. So win-win or no deal is very important. The next one is integrity, to do the right thing. I like to believe that I am a person of integrity. And so I am going to make sure that I am abundantly clear. If ever I'm in a situation where I need to share information with you, I'm not going to avoid the difficult conversations. I want to make sure that you're aware. I don't like surprises. The only surprises I like are good surprises. And so I really want you to feel comfortable and confident knowing that I am in your corner in the good times and in potentially some bad obstacles, but we're going to move through them together. Next are the 4 C's, of which starts with customers. Customers always come first. And so I want you to know that your needs and the values that you have through this process are my #1 priority. And everyone that we work with, our preferred vendors, my administrative assistant, my transaction coordinator, my buyer specialist, we are all here to make sure that you have a 10+ experience. And if ever there's a time that you're not feeling that, I want you to feel comfortable enough to tell me so that we can make sure that this is exactly what you wanted. The next C is commitment in all things. I have a commitment in all things, including my family. And so I want you to know that I'm going to be working with you anytime that you call. I want to be available. And there's also certain times. So when I'm with my family and I'm committed to my family in the evenings, I want you to know that unless it's an emergency, I might respond to you, letting you know that I will give you a call in the morning, or I'll handle that first thing, because when I'm committed to work, I'm committed to work. When I'm committed to family, I'm committed to family. And I just want to be upfront and honest with you about that. Communication, I'm always going to seek first to understand. So I'm going to be asking you questions. They might seem redundant, or it might seem like I might be slightly invasive. And please let me know if you ever feel that way. I'm asking questions because I really want to make sure that I'm understanding your motivation and the things that are going to help you make a decision. And I find that by asking those questions, that is honestly the best way that I know how to serve you. Creativity, ideas before results. We pride ourselves on the type of marketing that we do. As a listing specialist, I like to think outside of the box, because as a listing specialist, I'm really a marketing specialist. So I have to make sure that I'm first communicating to the broker community at a high level, and then communicating to the buyer community. We have to do that by breaking through the noise. You know, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and so we want to make sure that we're getting your home in front of as many people as possible. So we're going to pull some creative stops. I have really great people in my corner, include our photographer and videographer, to really showcase your home at a high level so that we can then put that in our social media advertising and some of the other things that we're going to do. I'm really excited to be able to go over that with you later during the marketing aspect of our time together this evening. Teamwork is one of the 2 T's. So teamwork, everyone achieves more. I want you to know that I don't do this alone, and I don't think that anybody could. I've got wonderful people in my corner. That includes my home inspector, it includes my photographer, my videographer, as I mentioned before, my administrative assistant, and my transaction coordinator. You are going to be hearing from them throughout the transaction. I want you to know that I'm not sending you a whole bunch of strangers. These are the people who help me close difficult transactions every day. They specialize in what they do. And so you're going to see in our seller's guide, you're going to see their faces. There's going to be their contact information. I'm definitely going to let you know before you ever hear from any of them. But I just want you to know that there's a whole team behind me, that when you hire me, you're actually hiring all of us to help you move through this transaction of selling your home. Trust starts with honesty, and I really want to be your real estate agent for life. I want to be able to be here for you, and I want to earn the right to have your business and to continue to have your trust. And that starts with honesty. So sometimes I might have to have a difficult conversation about something that's going on throughout this process. And I want you to know that it's because of the fact that I want your trust, that I want you to always know that I'm not going to hide behind difficult conversations if it's necessary during this transaction. And then lastly is success. And we know that success happens as results through people. And again, that team, making sure that we all come away from here feeling like we are bettering you, we're moving through that transaction successfully. And then at the end, not only have we helped you walk away with a check, but that this was an experience that you want to share with your friends and family, and understanding that that is truly what's important to me is to be able to share that with you, right? So break script. If you take the 5 minutes of an already 40-minute presentation, but you start with your belief system, how do you think on the receiving end of going through that, which is our Y4C2Ts, if you were at the other side of the table, what would it mean for you that I took the time to go through a belief system? Linda said that that sounds great. Person will want to commit to you. Can we have that script emailed to you? Well, that's not a script. This is recorded, so you can go back and do it. The Y4C2Ts, right? Win-win or no deal, integrity in all things, or integrity, do the right thing, commitment in all things, right? Customers come first, like all of that, that's already there on a little one-pager that you can throw into your guide. You're going to have to internalize it. It's going to have to be authentically yours and how it's a part of your business. But yeah, I agree. Let's see. Jennifer said that you're dedicated, committed, and that you care. Genoa said that it would mean a lot, but I would want the agent to interject questions to me that make me answer yes. Like, does that make sense? Do you agree? So that they have buy-in, okay? John said sets up a lot of positive expectations. Right. So don't allow it just to be the Wi-Fi password when you're getting your internet in the market center, right? It has to be more than that. It has to be internalized and knowing that there's a belief system. To this point, do you think that someone walks away feeling like you're going to be honest and trustworthy? Absolutely. That's why honesty is in there. That's why trust is in there. That's why integrity is in there. That's why commitment is in there. That's why we have those specific words, because it was utilized when we were creating the Y4C2Ts, is that polling of what someone was looking for, right? Okay, so we're not going to take 20 minutes to do this, but I want you to think of and say, how would you describe yourself? And then you're going to do and say, how do you make that real estate relevant? So go ahead and in the chat box, right, take a couple minutes, and I want you to write, how would you describe yourself? If you were a product, right, almost take yourself third person. If you were a product, I want you to think of how would you phrase and share that information, right? How would you describe your customer service, your business? We're going to put that in the chat box, please. Don't worry, they don't have to be perfect, right? Just put down a couple of the words that come to mind to you. You will absolutely be hashing through this throughout this next week, so know that. Let's see, Genoa said genuine, right? No, just genuine, solutions-oriented, responsive, hardworking, detail-oriented, responsible, but she does make some mistakes. John said, I take initiative and get things done. I really enjoy working with people to assist them, which I do on a daily basis within his clubs. Linda said, kind, honest, compassionate, trustworthy, thorough. Tracy said, knowledgeable, professional, quick to communicate, and so effective navigating any bumps along the road. Okay, awesome. Gina, treating others the way I expect to be treated by offering great communication and service. Okay, awesome. Jennifer said, authentic, excellent communicator, professional and driven. I will always do what I say I will do. Okay. Yeah, keep them coming. Now for the fun part, which is how would others describe you? So this is the compelling part of your validity. It's indicators of your strengths. It's a persuasive picture of your integrity. Think about people that you care about, people that you respect, people you have great business relationships with, your past customers. How would you say that they would describe you? So to the first question, Mike said that he would describe himself as knowledgeable, task-oriented, background in home remodeling, construction industry, independent business owner. Bart said organized, problem solver, eliminating issues before becoming obstacles. Okay. So John said that John initiates many activities. He takes on projects and contributes. Someone would say that Yvette is, she takes individual care and attention to her customers. Linda said that many of the same words as what she would use to describe herself: compassionate, kind, great communication, and hardworking. So Genoa said honest, confident, and hardworking. Jennifer said that her customers would say that she follows through with what she says. She's quick to respond via text, email, or phone, and that she's fun to work with. Bart said that they would describe him as going the extra mile than when we needed him to. Mike said, does what he says he will do, finds the answer if he doesn't have it, uses resources well, works with a great team of people to create a positive experience. I love that. I'm so glad to hear from you, Mike. I owe you a phone call. And so understanding the way that we show up, right, and the way that we would want others to describe us, do you think that you're able to go through this process? And more importantly, how would you feel about asking someone to actually describe you? For Gina, she had a testimonial of which it stated the words kind, patient, and went above their expectations. Tracy said going above and beyond and remains professional even under difficult circumstances. And Kelly said patient and puts customer needs first. So one of the ways that we can continue to do that, yes, you can absolutely keep your ex off the list of who you ask their feedback from, is what are we doing, and are we constantly seeking feedback? More often than not, we are surveying our people after the work is done. So being able to survey during the experience is something that can be helpful, or just being able to survey some of the people that are in your world that might not have even used you yet as a real estate professional. That's something to be mindful of actually taking the time and asking people to go through that process, right? And so I'm going to do an experiment at my own expense. Is I want you all to describe me. I know that some of you have not had an opportunity to meet with me or haven't had an opportunity to do that, but some of you have, most of you have. And so I'm asking you to describe me. How do I show up? And what we're going to be looking for is to see what are some underlining words that are consistent with what people say. Hopefully they're not too bad. Either we're slow typers or we're pleading the fifth. I'm just kidding. Kelly said, busy and well-spoken. Jennifer said that you're an expert in your field, extremely driven, very busy, successful, committed to helping others achieve their big why, do not have time for nonsense. Tracy said that she hasn't had the pleasure yet of meeting. Lisa said, punctual, to the point, wealth of knowledge, supportive, knowledgeable, caring, driven. John that says, I have described you as engaging your audience and teaching real-world lessons. Bart, genuine, caring, willing to get involved. Genoa said, genuinely loves coaching, more so when people participate, clear about intentions, knowledgeable about models, balancing a lot of balls in the air. Mike, confident, well-rounded, thrives in leadership and training, dedicated to Keller Williams and personal family, no BS. Linda, Michael always shows up, very professional, holds you accountable in a professional way, very knowledgeable, expert, ease of conversations, punctual. Yvette, always supportive, available to assist when needed, kind and knowledgeable. And I appreciate you saving all of the hate letters for when I get my anonymous responses at the end of this class. I'm just kidding. The point here is we have to ask for feedback, right? This is not, I'm not asking all of you to do that just so that you can pour into my ego. It's, I have to go to my clients, right? So Torrin and I recently created a survey for our real estate team, and we asked some questions on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely and 1 not really. What is your level of knowledge about the Coastal Elite Group? That was the first question of the survey. The following question is, would you identify Michael Reedy, Torrin Wilding, or Doug Parton as your preferred real estate agent? So if they say no, well, then we're not that person. We go, you know, what is your level of understanding of the level of service that the Coastal Elite Group will do? We literally survey people that know us, even if they aren't past clients. Like, how inclined are you to use us as your real estate professional, even if you haven't done it in the past? Like, we actually are giving out surveys so that we know, we think that we're communicating on social media, in our postcards and all the stuff. We think we're communicating really well. But until I'm willing to go out and ask someone honestly and fairly, how well are we really doing? Am I avoiding it because I don't want the answers, right? So I really want to make sure that you're understanding that we're not doing this for ego purposes. We're really doing this so that we can make sure that the public perception is exactly what we want it to be, right? If I believe that I have a great culture for my team, then I need to step away and I need to describe how I would describe my culture. And then I would ask the question, does my team describe the culture of the team the way that I think the culture is, right? Because just like customer service, you don't define customer service. Your customers define your customer service, right? So we want to be very careful and intentional. The way that we show up is going to be the way that people answer, right? And so What's interesting is I have a natural, as I'm reading through some of the things that you're saying, I have a natural defense to when I hear the word busy. When I hear you say that I'm busy, what I hear is I'm making you feel like I don't have time for you. Now, that might not be your point at all. And for some of you, that might be true, right? Like Mike Howell, I owe a phone call to. He sits on my legal pad. I have his name right here. I was going to call him this morning during lead gen, and I had to deal with a couple other things today. But I never want anyone to ever feel like I'm too busy for them. And so if someone would describe me as busy, right, then I have to show up differently. I have to build systems. Or have some place people feel that they're going to me or my business, and I don't like it. Well, how do I change public perception? I have to go back to work and make sure that it's done that way, right? So it is that it's from that perspective, right? It all comes from love. Mike, you know that I love you. It's from that perspective, right? Of what is it that we can do? What are some of the things that you can do, right? So being very careful with that and understanding that you're able to follow through with the promise. I love the way that Shantae helped me understand this, right? She said that your vision of your business or the way that you show up, your vision is your promise, and your customer's experience is on the delivery of your promise or the lack of delivery, right? That's going to be completely up to you and the things that you do. So I hope that this exercise is meaningful for you. I hope that you will go out to people in your world, people that you respect their opinion. Don't put it as a Facebook status, right? So you get a whole bunch of people who don't know anything about you. There are people in your world that you care about their opinion. Ask them how they would describe you and your business. And then let that be some of the things that help you when we move into this next section, which is powerful positioning. So understanding that powerful positioning, we have to stand apart from the crowd, right? So we have to define our customer service, we have to create our value proposition, and then we have to create our unique selling proposition. So one of the things that I'm very mindful of is that I know that in my world, right, not because of all of you, but in my world, my sphere probably knows me, and they probably know at any given time 3 or 4 different people. And I'm going to ask you this question. Before you got into real estate, and some of you have been in real estate for a while, my question for you is, how many other realtors do you think that majority of the people on your Facebook, or if you think about yourself, before you got into real estate, how many friends did you have on Facebook that had a real estate license? Sorry, that was a struggle for me to try to ask that question. So Genoa said before she got into real estate, she had too many to count. John said 5. Yvette said 4. Kibby said 10 or more. Yeah. Jennifer is in alignment with Genoa. And so I'm sharing this with you is, Gina said too far back to remember and Facebook wasn't a thing, right? That's why I was like, maybe not all of you, because some of you have been in here before Facebook. And yes, absolutely. It's from that perspective that we understand. And this is what you have to also think is your friends, your sphere, the people that are in your world, if they know you and 6 or 7 other realtors, they don't know anything about how you're different, right? A perfect example of this is I have a cousin. My cousin's sorority sister from 20 some odd years ago, right, is a real estate agent. And in my cousin's mind, her friend, who is a part-time real estate agent, knows as much about this industry as I do. That her part-time sorority sister is going to deliver the same level of customer service as I would. That her sorority sister, who works part-time in real estate, has done more transactions or actually doesn't care, an equivalent amount of transactions as what I've done, right? And I share this with you not because I have anything against her friend. I have none. What I'm saying is that to the general public, they think that you both went to the same school, you both know the same things, you both have the same knowledge of the contract. They think that that is the case. It is your job, not their job. It is your job to position yourself as the expert in the eyes and minds of the people in your world. It's not their job to know that. So when someone says, oh, you know, I know so many agents, this is someone from my sphere. Someone said, I think we're going to go for sale by owner. I said, well, why? She says, well, we know so many agents that we're going to piss off one of you, if not all of you. And so we just don't even want to go down that road. What that meant was she thought we were all on the same level playing field. So I'm not going to hire based on experience. I'm actually going to avoid hiring any of you because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So how do we get around that? How can we position ourselves? How can we make sure that someone knows that, you know, the difference, yes, you and someone else might have gone to 63 hours of pre-licensing, you got your license, and then you put yourself through Ignite. If you're going through Ignite 2.0 with me, we're spending 60 hours in 4 weeks together, right? If you did the old Ignite, we spent 36 hours together. If you're doing 36-12-3 with me, right, we're going to spend 24 hours of additional education just on 36-12-3. It doesn't even include the lead generation you're going to do between now and next Wednesday and every Wednesday for the next 11 weeks. It doesn't include any of that, right? So understanding that I educate myself more, I market myself more, I communicate more often about my knowledge. That's where you create an environment where you're the local expert because you're on video explaining what's happening with mortgage rates. You're the one sending postcards every single month. You're the one that's posting another just listed, another just sold, an open house this weekend. You're going live from an open house. You're going live from a broker's open. You have videography, you have photography. They can't not start associating you with real estate. And that's how we start to make sure that they know that we're the local expert, right? Is we really go through and make sure that we are branded at a high level. So we're going to move through and understanding what this looks like. So for buyers, defining their customer service, 53% of buyers said that the number one priority was help finding the right home to purchase. That was then followed by helping the buyer negotiate the terms of the sale, which is then helping with the price negotiations, and then determining what comparable homes we're selling for, help with filling out paperwork, help determining. But you can see it's significantly, there's a huge drop off. The number one priority for customer service that buyers were defining was help finding the right home. Well, for sellers, 23% said that help sellers market the home. Marketing the home was most important, which was then followed by doing it in the time frame that the seller wants, which is followed by pricing the home competitively, which is then followed by helping find a buyer for the home, right? So understanding that I'm going to work in my number, when I'm sitting at a buyer or a seller consultation, I'm going to let them know my number one priority is to market your home to potential buyers. I'm going to take it straight from the survey, right? If I'm doing a buyer consultation, I want you to know that my number one priority is to help you find the right home to purchase. Now you might go, well, that's redundant. Well, duh, that's why you're there. But I'm going to use the words that when the National Association of Realtors surveyed buyers and sellers, this was the resounding answer. So when you go, I want you to know that my number one priority is to market your home to potential buyers, I have a chance, I've got a 23% chance that that was their number one priority before they even told me that that was their number one priority, right? Use the data from the Florida Association of Realtors. Use the data and the surveys from the National Association of Realtors. Use that information and form it into the way that you communicate real estate to your world, to your sphere, to when you're sitting in front of a buyer or seller. I'm going to use someone else's thousands of dollars that they spent to survey or they spent to interact with people. I'm gonna rip off and duplicate. That is my number one thing, right? That's R&D in real estate, is to rip off and duplicate. So I'm going to use this information to make my presentation stronger. So if someone says, what services do you offer? Well, you analyze their needs and wants. You determine a pricing strategy. You advise on repairs. You're going to develop, this is for a seller, right? You develop a marketing plan. You're going to be evaluating those offers. You're going to be helping to negotiate through counter offers. You're going to be preparing post-contract work lists on what are our critical dates, everything else that we need to do. We're then going to be coordinating all of the documentation that's necessary for getting towards closing. You're going to review the closing documents to make sure that T's are crossed and I's are dotted and that people have the information that they need. And then you're going to assist with post-closing. What's going to happen with utilities? What's going to happen with moving, with purchasing the other home? So do this exercise, which is, what do you offer, right? Itemize the services that you offer, include real estate related phrases, customer services you excel in, and any other relevant aspects of working with you. So I'm going to go back to this, right? These are some of the services that we offer. What are some other services that we offer as real estate agents? We're not going to take the 10 minutes to write it down. I just want you to throw it in the chat box for me and put down, what are some additional services that we offer as real estate agents? Since that was mostly geared towards sellers, it should be pretty easy for us to put in, what are some of the services we offer for buyers? Jenna said emotional support. Yep, absolutely. Free therapy. What else? Don't worry, you don't single-handedly have to answer all of them. Jennifer said display calmness so that the buyer can hopefully mirror that. Mike said referral for contractors, cleaning, painting, repairs. Bart said negotiations. Mike said help set expectations. Yeah, we could just do a full stop on set expectations, although he said full set expectations for timing. What else? Yeah, so review of inspection, coordinating third-party vendors, absolutely. Being a resource, right, a source of the source. Anything else? Provides services after the sale, such as lawn, pool, etc. Yeah, so our vendor partners, we connect from the end to end. I want to be the end-to-end go-to person for you about the community, being a local expert with vendors, people who can support you through taking care of your home, building wealth. Absolutely. Linda said provide excellent communication to keep clients in the loop throughout the process. Okay, yeah. All of these are good. John, assurance all the way through. Yeah, being a boat captain to make sure that we have smooth sailing for sure. So now we need to create your unique value proposition, right? So this distills the services into benefits. It says what you're doing for the customer. It explains the complexity of what you do. It also keeps you accountable. If I say I'm going to do something, then I need to do it. And it states the customer-specific benefits. So there's an example of the value proposition, which is in your student packet that's there. But you can see that this was broken down into my values, into my special knowledge and expertise, into mine or our stats, right, about the office, about my buyer and seller network, about my office, my team, and my market center, and about my services and my marketing, right? That was just some examples of what they did. So we are going to do this exercise. We're going to take a couple minutes. We're not going to take 15 minutes. I just want to start planting the seed and for us to be thinking about what that looks like. And you're then going to take that information and expand on it over the course of this next week, right? So what benefits do you offer? And so think of it from the perspective of when you work with me, you get blank. And let's take about 5 minutes to do that. And then we're going to put that into putting that into the chat box. All right, so Yvette said, when you work with me, you will receive a knowledgeable and professional real estate agent with a committed ally to negotiate on your behalf, utilizing the systems in place to streamline buying your home and the backing of a trusted company. That's awesome. Great job, Yvette. Keep them coming. What are the benefits of working with you? Now remember, this is not your unique selling proposition. This is your value proposition. What values do people get when they work with you? I bet I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying we're simply talking about benefits at the moment, and then we position that from a selling perspective here in just a few. Genoa said, when you work with me, you get timely communication, a resource, guidance, and a solutions-oriented person who is there for you throughout the entire process. Okay? Good job. I want to challenge you, and I'm going to throw Genoa and I'm going to throw Yvette on the sword in this regard, as I'm going to challenge you to be specific. Right? I don't want you to be a wandering generality. I want you to be a meaningful specific. That's my Zig Ziglar quote for you for today. And so thinking about that and saying, what does that actually look like? Right? So if I was going to take a whack at this, when you work with me, if you want to include, depending on if you're in the downtown market center or if you're in all three of the market centers in the Pinellas County area, right between Seminole, the beaches, and downtown, when you work with me, I'm going to be able to put your home on more than 400 websites, utilizing the most advanced photography and videography that I can get my hands on so that I can communicate to the buyer brokerage community. We know that 89% of buyers end up using an agent to buy a home. And so it's my first important narrative to make sure that I'm getting in front of those buyer agents that have the most active people looking in your particular area. In addition to the extensive marketing that I'm going to do for you, you also know that when you hire me, you get more than 500 agents that are working on your behalf. More often than not, we do deals inside of our office with one another. And what that has equated to is that I work with the #1 brokerage in all of South Pinellas. We sold more than 2,000 houses for just over $600 million in volume. And what that means for you is that that gives you exposure, and it gives you the power of having multiple agents that have done more than anybody else in our local area at your fingertips. As soon as I leave here, even before the photography and videography is scheduled and shot, I will let those agents know about your home. We get to work immediately, effectively marketing your home. Right? So I want to be specifics. I want to take the data of what we've done. I want to take the size of our market center. I want to take the fact that we're #1 in South Pinellas. I want to take that information. I want them to know that when they list with Keller Williams, I'm going to put them on more than 400 websites. I want them to know that I do not skip on a dollar when it comes to photography and videography. I want them to know the benefits, right? I don't want to just say you get excellent customer service and I communicate with you. That's great. How? What does customer service mean? Because customer service to everyone means something different. And a shameless plug, this Friday from 1 to 3, I am going to be teaching the Ritz-Carlton experience. This is a customer service experience class. That is to take your customer service to the next level. We first have to define our customer service before we can just say, I deliver great customer service, right? So want to be very, very careful with that. All right, come on. There's more people here. Unless you're taking a nap on me, what are benefits of working with you? What are the benefits? Right, Tracy said a local expert that is knowledgeable and that listens to your wants and needs. Yeah, same thing. Specifically, how do you do that? What's the feedback loop? I want you to know, as my seller, I communicate with my sellers every Monday and every Friday. I'm going to give you an update on Monday, letting you know that what was our results over the weekend. How many private showings did we have? How many people came through the open house? I'm also going to let you know on Monday, what is our strategy to market your home throughout this week? Then on Friday, I'm going to let you know what were the results of those marketing efforts, as well as what we have set up for the weekend, whether it comes to open houses or private showings, right? So it's one thing to talk about communication. It's another thing to say, this is exactly how I plan to communicate to you, right? We want to be very, very intentional. We move from entrepreneurial to purposeful in that regard. Be as specific as you possibly can. So then we take our value proposition, we take why someone should work with me, we take how you would describe yourself and how others would describe you. And then we're going to take that information, we're going to make it a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement. And then that is what your advanced presentation goes into. So make it unique by presenting a truly different and unique service, tweaking a service or wording it cleverly or uniquely, right? So what is your unique service or selling proposition? So you're going to use your best value proposition, some of the things that you've already said, and then you're going to craft that into your unique selling proposition that works for them. And now something that I want to be specific on this is to understand that your unique selling proposition might change. My unique selling proposition for someone in a 55 plus active lifestyle community is going to be different than the way that I'm going to use my unique selling proposition for someone who's looking to buy a vacation rental that they're going to be able to churn and burn in something like an Airbnb. That's going to be different than my unique selling proposition that I'm going to have for someone who is a first-time home buyer. And that's going to be different than my unique selling proposition for someone who is getting a divorce or doing probate or is having to do pre-foreclosure. So understanding that we're going to shift our message so that I'm communicating effectively with that person. Again, moving from being entrepreneurial to purposeful. This is why we also move away from just having a blanket website with a whole bunch of language that doesn't mean anything to anybody. What I do, and I've shared this with you, and I will do this, I'll probably bring it to you next week so that you can see it, or maybe throughout the week I will email it to you so that you have a copy of it, is that we actually take our seller guide that we have built for the team, and then we change those pictures. So if I know that I'm going on a listing appointment and I know that it's a young couple, then I'm going to make sure that the pictures in our seller's guide reflects a young couple. If I know that I'm going to be going to a listing appointment and it's going to be a maybe someone from the LGBT community, I'm going to make sure that our seller's guide reflects the LGBT community. If I know that I'm going on a listing appointment and I know that it is a diverse couple, it's an interracial couple, whatever, I'm going to make sure, first of all, I'm going to make sure that throughout my stuff that I have diversity and that it's not just a whole bunch of white people. I'm going to do those things to make sure that people feel represented in the way that I'm delivering customer service. I want them to know that it is a unique selling proposition specifically tailored for them. That is moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Now, mind you, 90% of the guide doesn't change, but I'm wanting to make it just that step further. Again, if I'm going to be communicating to a 55 plus listing, then I'm going to make sure that my material reflects 55 plus, right? So thinking about that is something that is going to move you from just being moving from being entrepreneurial to purposeful, right? So then we need to sprint past the competition. So what's the power of your unique selling proposition? It's your validity and positioning in your presentation. Your unique selling proposition is ready for you to pick it up and go and run with it, right? And so we want to put this all together by knowing what were your ahas from this. I know that we've got a little bit of time and we are ending a little bit early because of some of those exercises, but I want you to take the remainder of our time. You had already time blocked to be with me until 4 o'clock. Take the remaining 40 minutes and work on your value proposition. Really think about how someone would describe you. how you would describe yourself. What is your unique selling proposition? But before we do that, I really want to know, what were your takeaways from today's class? What were your ahas? As a reminder, AHA stands for Agents Helping Agents. And so something could have really stuck with you today that someone else completely didn't hear. There could have been something that by you sharing it in the comments is going to cement that for someone else in terms of what they're learning and how they can apply that to their business. So put in the chat box for me, what was meaningful for you today? What was something that changed your mindset around whether it's your unique value proposition or the way that you describe yourself? Go ahead and put those in there for me. Let's see, Tracy said using the Y4C2Ts in the buyer presentation. Awesome. Bart said removing the generic and be specific. Jennifer said that her aha is how important committing to 3 hours a day of lead generation is going to be. Having a team for accountability will absolutely help her create that. John said that people really do think one realtor is about the same as another. Although they know some are more successful, I'm working on creating that image and making sure that people know that he is a local expert. Absolutely. Keep them coming. I need more ahas, please. Well, from what you did watch, Lisa, what was important for you? What did you take out of today's material that's going to be helpful? Give me 3 more ahas, please. Kibby said being very clear in how you will communicate with your client. Linda said getting more specific on how we can meet our client's needs. Genoa, understanding the process of how to get to her unique value proposition and being more specific. Absolutely. Do know that in that link that I've shared with you, right? Taking that link that I shared with you, I'm going to share it with you again, is go ahead and let me grab it real quick. Go in and use the student packet that's going to take a deeper dive into some of the stuff. There's going to be some examples there that's going to help you around developing your value proposition. Let's see. Bart said adjusting your value proposition based on the client. Jennifer said, I really like the explanation as to explaining to buyers and sellers that asking questions to understand will help me know how to help them meet their needs. It just sounds awesome the way that you stated it. Thank you, Jennifer. Mike, being purposeful on every aspect of the listing presentation, not just winging it. Yep. All right, so I sent that. That's the Google Drive for you. That is for your student packet. I'm also going to reshare the link for you around the 36123 tracker. So just as a reminder, you need to put your email or your phone number, whatever you need, so that people can effectively communicate. It looks like some of you are putting both, which is even better. So go ahead and put that information in there so that people know how to communicate with you. Find a script partner on your team. And what we're doing between now and next Wednesday is we're identifying a team captain. That team captain just means that they're going to help get material out. They're going to be the people that I communicate probably most often when it comes to checking in. This document, this tracker, is something that you want to have open as a tab all week on your computer. Every day you are to update these numbers. Every day, right? We're committed to 3 hours of lead generation. And so we need to track these numbers, right? I'm just going to, even though I know that you all can see it, I'm going to go in here. I need to know how many contacts you have. How many contacts did you make? How many of those turned into leads or opportunities? How many appointments are you going on? How many agreements are you taking? How many contracts and how many closings? And these numbers are we're going to keep tabs every single week, right? But this is not something that you add Wednesday morning before we have our class. This is an everyday thing. So if I go into this Google Sheet and on tomorrow I don't see any answers from you, I'm going to be checking in with you. Where are your numbers? Where are your numbers? Where are your numbers? That is the least level of accountability that I can have on you, but understand that you did not just commit to spending 2 hours with me on Wednesday. You've committed to yourself, you've committed to your family, you've committed to your business, you've committed to your future, and you know that the single most important thing that you can do in order to do that is to create a space where you can lead generate for 3 hours. And to clarify, Genoa, what day do I consider the start of week 2? I consider today the start of week 2. We go Wednesday to Wednesday, right? So next Wednesday will be the start of week 3. Because we're spending that time together, it's only fair to do it that way. So today is day 1. If that's going to freak you out because you started it on Monday, I don't care really how you do it. I just want to make sure that you're keeping track and you know what your numbers are in any given time. Because over the course of the next 12 weeks, we're now going to know your conversion rates. How many conversations do you have to have in order to create a lead? How many leads do you have to have in order to go on an appointment? How many appointments do you have to go on in order to get agreements, right? We're really going to start to learn your specific numbers, and then we can tailor a strategy around your abilities. We're going to be able to tweak some things in terms of the scripts that you're using and how you're practicing so that we can get better conversion rates and make you more money, right? Okay, it is 3:25. You technically had planned mentally to be with me. Yes, Jennifer, technically Wednesday to Tuesday is going to be the week. But yes, right? Wednesday starts each week. Is understanding you've already committed to the idea that you're going to be with me until 4 o'clock today. So please take the remaining 35 minutes to be working on your value proposition, to be working on your unique selling proposition, what people, how they would describe you, how you would describe yourself, because I'm going to want to see those throughout the week between now and next Wednesday. If you have any questions, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to turn my screen off so that I'm not a distraction for you. But if you put anything, if you put anything in the chat box for me, I will be responding, and I'll be with you until 4 o'clock. If not, then hopefully I see you on Friday for the customer service class, the Ritz-Carlton experience. And then, of course, I will see you next Wednesday. Closing start from today, correct? Yes, ma'am. That is correct. Okay. Thank you all very much, and I'll talk to you soon.